Thanks for joining me on Fascinating Frontiers, episode 136. Today is July 19th, 2026. Some fascinating developments to cover today. NASA's Psyche spacecraft just used Mars as a gravitational slingshot, returning a rich dataset that will sharpen its approach to a metal world never visited before. The spacecraft completed its planned gravity assist maneuver at Mars and transmitted a full dataset from the encounter. Mission teams are now analyzing images and spectra collected during the closest approach to refine navigation for the 2029 arrival at asteroid Psyche. The flyby also served as an in-flight test of several instruments ahead of the main science phase. No hardware anomalies were reported during the pass. The next major milestone is a second deep space maneuver later this year. Early spectra from the encounter may already offer hints about the asteroid's surface composition. The data will also help test autonomous systems in deep space conditions. On a different note, the Finnish-built ICIE-X-73 synthetic aperture radar satellite has been formally registered under UN document SER.E/1346 as KIA-01 and is now owned by the Portuguese Air Force. ICII has previously sold identical radar satellites to operators in the United States, Poland, Greece, the United Arab Emirates, and Brazil. The move marks the first Portuguese military ownership of an orbital radar asset. Portugal joins a growing list of nations acquiring commercial radar constellations for sovereign surveillance needs. If Earth were a basketball, the altitude of most radar satellites would be roughly the thickness of a sheet of paper above its surface. Yet from that narrow corridor, they map every continent regardless of weather. A synthetic aperture radar satellite sends out its own microwave pulses and records the faint echoes that bounce back. The signal never waits for sunlight or clear skies the way optical cameras must. One satellite traveling at roughly 7.5 kilometers per second can synthesize an antenna hundreds of meters wide simply by moving along its orbit. The same pass can distinguish between open water, forest canopy, and urban structures because each surface scatters microwaves differently. Scientists still cannot predict exactly how vegetation moisture or soil salinity will alter the return signal strength from one season to the next. Astronomers have captured the dimmest directly imaged exoplanet to date using ground-based instruments. The detection pushes current adaptive optics and coronagraph technology to new limits for separating planet light from host star glare. No mass or orbital period figures were released in the initial announcement. Future observations will attempt to extract atmospheric spectra from the same target. The sub-millimeter array on Mauna Kea has demonstrated its new semi-automated alert system by rapidly slewing to a gamma-ray burst detected by space-based telescopes. The interferometer recorded sub-millimeter emission within minutes of the trigger. Data from the event will help constrain the physics of relativistic jets launched by the burst progenitor. The successful test shows how ground-based radio arrays can now respond on timescales previously limited to optical facilities. Researchers suggest that massive planets could register interactions with dark matter particles through measurable orbital or atmospheric effects. The idea leverages the large cross-section of gas and ice giants to capture rare events that smaller worlds would miss. No observational campaign has yet been funded to test the hypothesis. If validated, the method would offer a novel complement to underground detectors and space-based instruments. Modeling papers outlining expected signatures are in preparation. The proposal draws on the planet's substantial volume and gravitational influence to increase the probability of detectable particle encounters. Further theoretical work is examining whether atmospheric heating or slight orbital perturbations could serve as observable markers. The National Security Space Launch Phase 3 Lane 1 contract maximum value has been increased from $5.6 billion to $17 billion to accommodate rising launch demand. The adjustment provides headroom for additional national security payloads scheduled through the end of the decade. Lane 1 covers medium lift missions that do not require the heaviest lift capacity. Industry teams are already positioning for the expanded opportunity pool. Defense Production Act funding of $7.1 million has been awarded to Martin Materials Solutions to scale manufacturing of radiation-resistant cover glass. The material protects solar arrays and thermal control systems on spacecraft from charged particle damage. The small business will add production capacity at its existing facility. First deliveries from the expanded line are expected within 2 years. Japan's RV-X experimental vehicle lifted off, reached a controlled altitude, and executed a successful vertical landing in its inaugural test flight. The prototype is designed to demonstrate technologies for future reusable first stages. Telemetry from the flight is now being reviewed to assess engine performance and guidance accuracy. Additional flights are planned to expand the performance envelope. Remember, the show covered Artemis developments on the last episode. NASA will fly an uncrewed Artemis 3 demonstration mission in 2027 to practice rendezvous and docking between a commercial human landing system and the Orion spacecraft. Data gathered during the rehearsal will validate procedures ahead of the crewed landing targeted for 2028. The mission also serves as an end-to-end check of ground and flight control teams. The island nation of Mauritius acceded to the Artemis Accords on July 17, bringing the total number of signatories to 70 in under 6 years. Serbia has also signed the Artemis Accords, committing to the same principles of lunar exploration and data sharing already adopted by 69 other nations. Both nations cited opportunities for future scientific and industrial collaboration. July 18 marks the birth of John Glenn, who flew 59 combat missions in World War II and 63 in Korea, before becoming one of NASA's original Mercury astronauts. In 1962, he completed 3 orbits aboard Friendship 7, becoming the first American to circle the Earth. Glenn later served as a U.S. Senator and returned to space on the 1998 STS-95 shuttle mission. His career bridged military aviation, early human spaceflight, and later political service. Archival footage and mission transcripts are being highlighted by NASA this week. The anniversary underscores his role in establishing sustained American presence in orbit. Public events this week include screenings of restored Mercury footage at several planetariums. The Tegaza meteorite, dated to 4.1 billion years ago, shows evidence of a granite-like crust and indicates Mars had already begun losing surface water by that epoch. Isotopic measurements suggest the planet's early hydrosphere was diminishing faster than previously modeled. The rock provides a rare sample of Noachian-era crust, not yet visited by rovers. Researchers are now comparing its mineralogy with orbital data from current Mars missions. NGC 6563 in Sagittarius is an oval bubble of gas lit by its central white dwarf and now stands highest in the evening sky as the moon sets. The nebula formed when the progenitor star shed its outer layers, leaving the hot core to ionize the expanding shell. Observers with moderate telescopes can locate it near the Sagittarius teapot asterism. Follow-up imaging this week will capture any changes in the nebula's apparent brightness as it transits. A new public website displays a complete chronological record of human space flights from Yuri Gagarin through the most recent Soyuz mission. The single-page interface allows users to scroll through every crewed launch without switching between separate databases. The project was built to address the lack of a unified visual history that includes mission durations and crew details. Keep an eye on further national registrations as ICIE continues expanding its customer base. That covers today's space and science news. Share this with a fellow space enthusiast if you found it interesting. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NERA Network. Links in the show notes. Quick tip from the network. Try Planetarian Daily next. Daily breakthroughs in science, health, and longevity. Every NERA Network show is free at neranetwork.com. The age of AI puts real builders on the phone with an AI host. Apply at neranetwork.com/age-of-AI apply. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
drifting softly through